Hello world, it's Calcutron here with the third episode of our series on programming the TI-83 and TI-84 calculators. Today we will be talking about simple I/O, which stands for input-output. Every program needs some kind of input and output. In the last episode, we programmed a simple application to convert temperature measurements from Fahrenheit to Celsius. Let's take a look at that program to identify the input and output methods and then improve upon them. So we navigate to the program by hitting Program, and then we go over to the Edit screen and select Temp Convert, which is, again, what we programmed in the last episode. So we'll see it's only 2 lines, and the first line takes the value inside of F, and through this expression converts the Celsius value, and then it stores that into the variable C. And then on this next line, we display the result. So let's take a look at using this program. There we go. So we just ran it, and it gave us 4.44. So one of the problems with this program is that it doesn't tell the user much about what that 4.4 value means. So let's go in there and let's try to remedy this. So one way we can do this is by adding another display that tells the user this is the Fahrenheit value in Celsius. So let's do that by going to the first character on the second line and hitting second delete to go into insert mode and then pressing enter. So now we've created a new line, and we can put on this line another display command. So hit Program, go over to I/O, and then hit the number 3, and we'll have a display command. So this time we want a string that says something along the lines of here's your Celsius value. So remember, when we use strings, we have to give them quotation marks. The quotation mark again can be found at alpha and then plus. So we're going to say Celsius value, and then we'll put a colon using alpha and then the decimal point, and don't forget that end parenthesis, or not parenthesis but quotation mark. Now if we run this program again, we'll see now we know that what we got out was a Celsius value, but it might be difficult for users to know how to tell it what the Fahrenheit value is. And of course, because we programmed it, we know that you give it a Fahrenheit value by storing that into the variable F, but that might not be the most user-friendly way to use this application. So let's go over and edit this program and see if we can come up with a better way. So we'll start by adding a new line above the calculation for the Celsius temperature, and on this line we're going to ask for user input, and we're going to do that with the command input over in the program I/O menu. So input, as you might be able to tell, allows you to get input from the user on the home screen. So we're going to tell it we want to input into the variable F. So let's go ahead and run this program one more time, and up pops a question mark. And this question mark and the blinking cursor means that it's the user's turn to input something. So let's say today it was 65 degrees Celsius, or degrees Fahrenheit. And now it will tell us the Celsius value is 18.3 repeating. So that is a much more user-friendly version of the temperature application we programmed last time. Now, we could make it a little better if the user knew exactly what they were inputting. It just has a question mark. So the way that we do that is, now we could put above the input a display command that says, please enter your Celsius value, or sorry, your Fahrenheit value. But there's an even better built-in way to do that, and we can do it by supplying another parameter to the input command. And we do that by giving it a string. So let's go into insert mode, and put in a string that is the prompt for the user. So I'm just going to make the prompt be Fahrenheit Fahrenheit. And then don't forget the end quotation mark. And then we separate our inputs to the input command, or our parameters, by a comma. So, not quite sure if I spelled Fahrenheit correct. I think it might be... Oop. That seems slightly more correct, but in the end it doesn't really matter how I spell it. I might even make it slightly abbreviated in order to leave the user room to enter a large value. So let's quit out and see what happens now. So now it has that prompt that we gave the input command, and we can give it our Fahrenheit value. So let's say it was really hot today and it was 105 degrees. You could boil eggs on the sidewalk. And it gives us our Celsius value of 40.5 repeating degrees. Oof, what a hot day. So this looks like a lot better I/O. Let's see if we can make this look any better by clearing the screen before we have the user enter values, so that they don't see this program temp convert and this done message on their screen. So let's go and edit, and then let's put on the next line up the command clear home, which can be found in the I/O menu. It's all the way down here in number 8. So clear home is a command that will clear the home screen, which again is the screen where we do all our calculations and inputs into the calculator. So let's try this one more time. And ooh, what a nice looking application. It clears the screen and it prompts us for a Fahrenheit temperature. And then we get our Celsius temperature. So this is a much cleaner application than when we started. Now there's one more thing we can do, which won't necessarily change the I/O, but it will make it look slightly better. Or it will make the code slightly more compact, at least line number wise, and that is, like we did here, the input command took multiple parameters. It took a prompt string and variable to store the user input into. So the display command can also take multiple parameters, and they're all things to display one after another. So we can do this by separating them by a comma. So let's replace this disp command with a comma, and now it's going to display the Celsius value, and then on the next line it's going to display C, or value stored in C. So let's try this one more time. It should have the same look, but now an improved functionality, or at least improved code. So that's something you might see when reading other people's code, and don't let it trip you up that they used a comma to separate different inputs to the display command. So one thing you might have noticed is that it displays the Celsius value on another line, which might not be the best looking way to do it. So let's explore another way using the output command. So let's actually take this out and have it just display Celsius value, and I'm even gonna take away this value because it's slightly unnecessary and it doesn't leave enough room in order to display the number. So now let's use the output command, which again you'll find under I/O like all of the commands we've been using today, and it's output. And this command, you'll see, instead of having a space between the command and its inputs, we have a parenthesis. And what that usually means is that this command takes a set number of inputs, whereas these more basic commands can have a variable number of inputs. So this command takes exactly 3 inputs, and they have to be specific things. So the first one is the row number where you want to output. The second one is the column number, and then the third one is the value that you want to output. So that value could be a string or a number or some other things that we'll get into later. So let's start with the row number. We know we want it to be in row 2. And then with the column number, we have to count where do we want this to appear by looking at our disk command. So we want it to happen one space after the colon. So this will be in column 1. This will be in column 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then in the 9th column, we want a space. So in the 10th column, we will have our Celsius value. And then, separated by a comma, we have the third parameter, which we want to be our Celsius value C. So now let's quit out of this and take one last look at our application. So, Celsius value of, Fahrenheit value of 75. And it tells us our Celsius value is 23.8 repeating. So that wasn't the greatest example because it was a recurring decimal, but I think this gives you a good look at how we can modify our IO, and in the future we can make it even better so that more decimals don't show up on the next line. But we haven't learned everything we need to know in order to do that yet. So, this has been a tutorial on simple input-output in TI Basic. I hope you learned something, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Bye-bye.